Good evening, everybody. It's the pollinator. And it's been a minute since I've made a video, but let me tell you what I finally figured out about why I've probably been pretty quiet since probably starting around 2019 or so, and have slowed down making videos. Anyway, it's Wednesday evening, and if you like the content of my videos, there is a subscribe button over here. From time to time, I put videos that will pop down over here unless you are watching with the TV. Then you don't see those pop downs. And I'll put stuff in the description and you know, usually trying to point at some of these things that I'm talking about, especially if it's political in nature. But so let me go back to what I was saying about my lack of being on YouTube a lot. It was probably around 2019 when I noticed in my own community the rift and the alienation of talking about being black and being some of these other special interest groups. Now, I don't consider black a special interest group. It's just the way they have this country divided off, and the way that the system works for other groups of people versus black people. So I started noticing, as I had some issues that were happening, that I was reaching out to white-led LGBTQ organizations in this country, some very popular organizations in this country. They didn't want to have anything to do with, with the issues I was having, because they were race-based. Oh, they'll come out in droves, perhaps. Not really come out in droves for black people in those communities, but they'll do more for you if the issue is not a racist issue or a potentially racist issue. Say, for instance, what I noticed is that people were going to bat, even legal organizations in this country, the ACLU, a little bit of the NAACP, Lambda Legal. I really can't stand them, especially down here in Georgia. But those organizations were going to bat for people who are having problems with their name change. Let it be anything more complicated than that. They all claim to be too busy. They claim to be too small. They'll claim anything to avoid and deflect the fact that we have to deal with both issues at the same time all the time. We have to deal with racism, and we have to deal with homophobia, transphobia, many of the phobias. I'm telling you, I hit every major organization in this country, especially the gay, lesbian, bisexual, etc., because none of the well, yeah, them and the transgender white-led organizations. And even when I was dealing with the VA, the transgender part of the VA, when I brought up issues in those meetings, which was a way smaller sample of what it's really like for us with the larger organizations. I mean, we had anywhere from maybe, it could be only 2 of us. And at most, I've seen probably 15 people in that group at one time. It no longer exists, but just to go to show you, when I brought up black issues, one time, a white trans woman went completely off. I don't want to hear about black this, black that, black this, black that. And everybody froze. There were more doctors in there than there were us. And they froze like, okay, wait a minute, what's getting ready to happen? And this lady was going on and on and on. And you know what? I still see her around. I don't want to be anywhere where she is because I think she is fake to even talk to me with what she was saying and wanting to compete with me for the good that I did for black transgender people who would come up to me in those meetings and ask about resources and other places to go in the area. But she's decided to get into a competition about that. Well, I help my friends too. Well, I don't help friends. I help anybody who came to me who wanted help. But she went off so badly that I almost got up and walked out of the meeting. I thought, what the fuck? And then she wanted to tell a story about some racial shit she did when she was younger. I tuned completely out. I don't know what she said after that. All I kept saying was, if she opens her mouth and tells this story about something she did to a black person, I'm going to lose it. And she was a Vietnam vet. Now, I'm telling you, there was a bunch of racist shit that went on during the war, too. They go on during every war. And maybe not so much today. I don't know. I haven't had a conversation with a black person who has been in the wars since Desert Storm. But I say that, I bring that up to say everybody's okay, partially okay, except for us, when we have, if our issues are only trans-related. With us, how can it ever be? We never know who's coming at us from a racist place or a transphobic place. And only people who know we're trans will come from that place. And I have stuff happening to me, whether they know I'm trans or not. They don't want to hear about that. They don't want to, they do not want to hear about the racist crap that we face in this country. So let me come full circle. The reason why I brought that up was just to go to show you I have been practically not hysterical on the outside, but hysterical on the inside since January 6, 2020, when these idiots decided to storm the Capitol. And we all know why. Black people, all of us know why. God forbid we have any power in this country. They were mad because we swung the election fairly, legally. There was no bullshit that the asshole, the orange orangutan, tried to bring up. We know why all that happened. And what's interesting is nobody, except for commentators and people that are educators and people like that, never saw the average Joe talk about that whole thing for what it was. That wasn't black. And then since then, every day I go and watch the news, and I don't watch propaganda news stations. But every day I have watched white people turn the other way and not talk about this shit. They only want to talk about what affects them, but they don't want to talk about what affects all of us. All of these organizations are white-led, and if we're black-led, we don't get very big because we're not supported that way. They don't give us that kind of money. They don't give us that kind of support. And a lot of the trans man organizations in this area that I am in had to get up underneath gay organizations in order to be funded. So we don't get money thrown at us the way that the white LGBTQ IA plus, probably 50 acronyms by now. Anyway, we don't get the same kind of support. We don't get the same kind of support in the movies. We don't get the same kind of support in the media. We don't get the same kind of support in organizations. We don't get the same kind of support in business. We don't get the same kind of support in religious organizations. We don't get the same level of support economically. That is how this country fixes how we never get to an equal footing in these organizations. So every day something happens that makes me just shake my head in holy terror, like, holy shit, people, we are in big trouble right now. And why do I say that? And, you know, I can find documents and links to back up everything I say, because I watch a lot of different kinds of people, and I couldn't rattle off their names one by one about where I'm getting my information from. And if I put it in the description of the video, it would make the description really long. But listen, white supremacy is on the rise. These people, they didn't put the hoods back on, they found masks. Either way, they're covering their face back, so it's just like the fucking KKK is running around with the hoods on and showing up all over the fucking place because they want a race war. And they've got the kooky media outlets covering their ass. And then you've got millions and millions and millions of white Americans doing nothing. There's people here and there saying things. There's politicians that are trying to fight back. The GOP has got the country by the balls. They're running it here, there, everywhere. They're attacking blacks. They're attacking transgender. They're attacking the LGBT. All of it designed to not only create havoc between the groups, but to maintain control and power over this country. And who is stopping them? Who are the only people who can stop these white GOP? Black people? Asians? Hispanics? Native Americans? No. White people. And they're being quiet because, you know what? And I just know it. Some of the places that I go and I observe how they react to, because I'm still very blunt. Anywhere I go, I'm still blunt. I'm still honest and I'm blunt. Well, not everywhere I go, okay? I'm starting to get some media coverage and I'm not as blunt when I'm talking to them as I am naturally. But if I bring up things that are related to race, like the fact that they took the word woke and completely turned it into, they weaponized a word that is meant to raise your consciousness and open your fucking eyes. Every time white people get a hold of a word that we created or anything that we create, they twist it and turn it and they make it look like something else. Woke this, woke that, woke, 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 woke. Leftist this, leftist that. Woke, 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 woke. I'm like, anybody else notice how retarded they sound and how unashamed they are to sound so retarded? That's scary that a bunch of ignorant assholes are getting ready to take control of this country and move it into an area of fascism. Fascism. The neo-Nazi types are running around killing people. Some of them you can identify, some of them you can't. But we see them by their actions. Not what kind of tattoos they have on their body. Or if they even bother to look into their past, what people know about their past. But there is just a lot of deflection going on, which seems to be not only a GOP trait, but a human trait. Okay? It takes a lot of reflection and understanding who you are and understanding life and having some kind of wisdom about you to understand when something is not your doing and when it's other people's doing. And it's definitely not to play the blame game. But in spite of that, the deflection to what's really going on in this country, they're trying to downplay white supremacy as though that is not the #1 threat to black people today. It very much is, because I see it everywhere I go. I see it in attitudes of people everywhere I go. Listen, I can nail it. I can nail a racist. Now, I may not confront them and I may not go anywhere near them, but I can identify them. For instance, the other day, and it seems to happen every time I go to this particular restaurant and this particular spot in this area I live in, because I'm practically out in the country, folks. So, every time I go to this restaurant, something strange happens. So I go in there and I sit down and I order some coffee and orange juice and breakfast. And the lady walks away, and I see her walking back and forth and all around and putting water in a machine and this and that and this and that. And I went, excuse me. I didn't see her name tag, but I said, excuse me. I said, what, are you making coffee, or exactly why haven't I got my coffee yet? Oh, well, they told us we got to call in our order first. I said, what? Calling your order? I said, I've been coming here a long time, and I never heard of that crap. In fact, there were people sitting around that got their coffee first. So I guess she went and got my orange juice and brought it back, and then she looked over at the machine and said, oh yeah, somebody's making coffee, as though that was the excuse of her saying something so stupid. So her attitude was all over her. The look on her face was like, nigga, how dare you confront me and how I'm doing my job. We can see that, people. You think we can't, but we can see it. You don't have to call us the N-word in order to treat us like the N-word. We know the difference, even if we don't call you out. Even if we do call you out, it doesn't seem to matter anymore, because you guys are wearing this racism shit like a badge of pride. So anyway, so I'm like, So I sit there, I got my coffee, you know. She gave me dirty silverware. And so I took the ones that were dirty and put them on the edge of the table. And she must have walked past that table 5 times. And there was something else that I asked for. I wanted sausage instead of bacon, so I asked her if she was sure she called out the sausage. And she says, yeah, I did. Microaggressive, huh? See, this is how they do it. So, so she brings my food, all of it cold. That's how she's going to get me, for confronting her about the coffee. And then she's going to just serve the food over the dirty knife that was sitting on the edge of the table. So I looked at her and I said, okay. She says, is there anything else you'd like? And I said, yeah. Clean knife, please. Like that. What, she expected me to eat with dirty utensils? She knew she wasn't waiting on anybody else. She kept walking around back there, and I was like, okay, what is she doing? And but the fact that she brought the food cold, she was going to get me back. So I ate mostly all of it, but it was too ridiculous. It was too disgusting. I like my food hot. Most of the people know that. That location has a lot of people with an attitude during the day. The last time I went there during the day, I stood right in front of the register for 10 minutes before somebody would clean a table and let me sit down with a cane. That location. Bunch of white jerks working there. But this is how we can see what people don't think we can see. So anyway, that part of the things that I'm saying was on a very small scale. Imagine looking at this and looking at this country with millions, triple millions of people, knowing that the people who can do something about this stuff are turning the other way, even though they're being attacked too. And it also takes me back to, yeah, they're voting against their own, they're voting against their own best interests, while these politicians are coming right at them anyway. But they will still vote the same to maintain their position, their privilege in this country. All I got to do is bring up being black anywhere I go and the experiences I have, and everybody gets uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about that. So it takes me back to what Mara Kinsley said, who retired from the NCTE, Transgender Equality in Washington, D.C. When she got up there and she said, and I knew it was the most powerful statement that I would ever hear a white transgender person say, which was, if transgender people didn't get behind black people, they didn't deserve to be supported by black people, or anybody else for that matter. And so look what's happening. And while they're attacking us, they're attacking transgender people. We've been attacked all our lives as black people, no matter what our gender was, no matter what our sexual orientation has been. We've had to learn how to live with being attacked for who we are. So this is just like, hey, welcome to be treated like a black person. How you like it? I have no empathy, sympathy, when these very people that when I bring up being black, they turn the other way and they don't want to listen, and want to bring up being transgender and let's just ignore the black guy. I keep getting asked to serve on this committee, work for this organization, serve on this. I keep getting asked this, and I keep telling them, you don't want me on your board. I said, because I would bring this up every single time, that if you aren't prepared to deal with the issues that I raise, and not leave me to deal with it on my own, but back it just as much as you do everything else about being trans, then nah, leave me alone. I'm not. When they address me this way, when they really stick up for what I'm talking about, and for all of us, I don't want nothing to do with their white-led organizations. I'll be a member and sit around and watch them. But I don't want to be a part of. And I don't even want to be part of black organizations that pretty much ignore being black. The NAACP is one of them. I don't know what they're doing, but I saw a really cool party that they had. I mean, a black tie party in the middle of a conference that I attended the first year of my transition. There was a black tie event that they threw in that hotel. It was very nice. But other than that, they're quiet too. Everybody is on their, they're on their heels reacting instead of being proactive. And we can't be proactive as long as this country is divided and split into so many different arenas. And they keep adding to the splitting too. To me, that's what all these 50,000 freaking acronyms for alphabet people, that's what they call us, alphabet people are about. Just keep splintering it, keep splintering it, keep splintering it. So that the only people that have any kind of hold on it, any control or power over it, are people who aren't. And then just, okay, let's just be inclusive of everybody on the planet. Yeah, that inclusivity is creating a lack of unity, as far as I'm concerned. I also started getting pretty fired up in 2019. I noticed from time to time I have to go back and look at some of my videos when I'm doing other work or looking for something, and I was getting fired up in 2019 and 2020. I think it really kind of started in 2018. But I was getting more and more and more fired up. And if I really made a video every day, I would be screaming. Because that's how I feel inside. I'm like, no, this country is being driven into the ground by people who can be sat in their place if others voted them out of office. And I have no doubt in my mind I'm sitting next to or in the same room as a bunch of white supremacists that are transgender, that are LGBTQ plus, that they'd rather back that than to get together to fight this onslaught of bullshit about us. Everywhere I look, I'm just seeing horrifying shit. Lies being told about us. Lies being told about me being black. Lies told about me being trans. About us as a community and what we're really doing. Who I am and what I am is not a political motherfucking statement. But the GOP is turning into that, aren't they? Claiming we're trying to put stuff in schools and claiming, and then they're doing the same thing about being black with this CRT bullshit. And all they're doing is appealing to the base of white people who fear us, and then all peoples who fear LGBTQ. So, I'm telling you, that's why I've just kind of been watching this and then building up my own network, if you will, so that I'm in a better position and can't be fucking taken down by the likes of businesses like Facebook, which I call Fuckerbook. That is my nickname for them. I will say that name until the day I die. And I say that because they stay fucking with black people. I mean, they've been taking powerful black people off of their network, off of their platform. And I'm like, okay, what is that about? They never tell the fucking truth. They always lie. And that has been happening to me since I was a teenager. I've had jobs that I lost that they wouldn't tell the truth about why they did it. The first real job that I had with any kind of success was a paint company called Comac Paint Company in Denver, Colorado. And I was moving so fast in that little company because I was good. I kept my head down and I did my work and I was getting raises and promotions. And before they knew it, I was sitting right behind the officer of that company, a lady who was getting ready to retire, a secretary. I was posed to take her place, but she was an officer of the company. They took one look at that and said, oh no, we are not letting this chocolate drop become an officer of our company. So they lied and made up bullshit about me. Things that I didn't do. All of a sudden, these guys that I was working for were complaining. Those guys loved me, but they will band together just like these fucking pigs do, i.e. cops, i.e. Leos, will do to cover their asses from doing something to somebody, killing somebody or whatever. They'll get together and say, okay, say this, say that, say this. We got to protect that position. You think they would tell me the truth? Not in a million years. I had to figure it out. And it was my first real experience of having to figure something like that out. I was only 18, I think. 18 years old. And I couldn't understand for the life of me why they were getting rid of me when I was such a good worker and they were promoting me and they were giving me raises. So I said that to say they will lie about what they're doing, why they're doing it, or they just won't even tell the truth, which is just another form of lying. Withholding why, the truth about why. Because if they told the truth about why they do anything, they'd be in big trouble in this country. But a lie flies today in 2023. Notice that? It's like 45 opened the door to lying being a art form. All this is going against the grain of humanity, is going against the grain of most religions in this world, is going against the grain of any kind of decency, any kind of morality, any kind of value system. I mean, I won't ask, would you treat your children to lie? But evidently people are doing that. But it's becoming an art form. And when is that okay? When is that ever okay? Yeah, I saw and I'll have to look for it and put it, either a video of it. Yeah, I'll put a video link up over here of a case in New York City where the cops busted in on this guy, this black guy, who had gotten locked out of his apartment. And the fire department came and let him back in his apartment. And while he was in there, the police came later after the fire department left. And they wanted to know what he was doing. They busted open his door, tried to crack it open, and just started. This white cop was pointing the taser and a gun at this guy in his own apartment with just his underwear and some boots on, with some kind of, I don't know what he had in his right hand, but he had a butter knife in his left hand. And they considered him a threat when they tried to bust into his apartment for no reason. So anyway, the black Leo was the senior officer. And he kept telling the other guy, the little white guy that only had 3 years experiences versus his 15 or something like that. He kept trying to tell him, don't tase this guy. Don't shoot this guy. Stop. He pushed his hand away. He did all sorts of things. And he maintained 4 years later that, yep, that's what he said. You heard it on the video even, that he was trying to de-escalate the situation, and the white guy just wanted to shoot somebody that night, and he shot that man to death. Two or four shots in his chest after he tased him. So something happened during a break, and the black cop disappeared, and when he came back, he turned around and told this jury, it wasn't even a jury, it was some kind of board, some kind of a civilian board that was run by New York City Police Department. So they didn't have a chance in prayer of doing anything except what they wanted. He came out and said, oh, I didn't recollect what really happened. He was on camera, he was on video. And because he came in and changed his story, he came back from break and changed his story, the head of the, I don't know who it was, but you'll see in the video that they determined that there was no violation of anything, that guy walked in and killed an innocent man for no other reason than just he could. These kind of things are happening day in and day out. And me, I haven't lived this way all of my life, but you know, I'm looking at this going, holy shit. They will do this to black men for any reason, anyhow, anyway. For just, that guy was not a threat in his own apartment. They were the threats. But you think the police department was going to see it that way? Nah, they lie and cover up what they're really doing and why. Just to exonerate each other. Back the men in blue. I don't back them. They're liars. Every time I see one, I'm just watching them very closely. We develop a way of watching people when they don't know we're watching them. So, because it's very unpredictable in this country whether it'll be us next, whether it be me next, whether it be whatever. I could be anywhere at any time and be harassed or killed or whatever just because I'm a black man. And we have to live stuffing that down every day. Stuffing it. So that we don't think about it and don't bring that kind of crap to us. But it's a way of life. It's a way of life for many of us. And again, I thought about calling this video Deflection, because there's so much of it going on, and it goes on in interpersonal relationships. It goes on in day-to-day communications with businesses. Businesses, corporations, and especially monopolies are showing less and less accountability, less and less integrity, and everybody's letting that happen too. Makes you wonder, what are people thinking, or they're not thinking? Nobody's saying anything about this dominance and control over our electronic devices. They think it's cool that technology is moving at the speed of fucking light, and they're releasing stuff before it's ready to be released, and it's fucking up the country. And they shipped all the support overseas to people who don't give a shit about how we live here. We pay first world prices for third world support. You think that's a mistake? It's not. AI is being released too quickly. And we are test dummies. Everyone that buys into it is a test dummy for it, because they don't have no QA departments anymore. Quality assurance. You know, software used to have to go through some processes, some steps before that shit got released to the world. That has all been eliminated. It's just slapped out there and just see how it goes. I want to kill bots. Both chat bots and phone bots. You know, them things that ain't human. Those things that interfere with you talking to a human. Whether it be online or voice calls. If these corporations are eliminating corporate phone numbers, they're even eliminating support numbers. They're forcing you to deal with these incompetent, rude idiots on chat lines who are not trained. They're inexperienced. They're untrained. You got to call back 50 million times before you get somebody who is trained. And even if you do get somebody who is trained, they might get off the phone and talk to somebody else who tells them, oh, don't deal with this. Don't deal with him. Don't deal with the issue. Just throw it off, cast it off. I'm being ripped off by at least 5 companies right now. I've been ripped off. Major corporations. I'm not going to mention their names. I may do it in a video on my other business channel, but this country is going to hell in a handbasket. It's going there fast, faster than anybody could respond or react or become proactive, because you don't see what's happening until it hits you like a pie in the face. And what is a little guy going to do about it anyway? Without any money, without lawyers that are trying to also jack you up to support you, with a legal system that is really fucked right now. Have you ever tried to file paperwork for a small claims lawsuit? It's a joke. And most of the shit you buy isn't happening in your local area anymore. They are not moving laws to keep up with the fact that they've thrown everything out onto the internet now. They're not putting the laws out there. They're still keeping the same antiquated fucking laws, legal laws in your state when you're never dealing with people that are in your state. And they've got it all locked up to where you can't even, you know, unless they have a, what's the word for that term? Where they don't have a corporate office or maybe physical office in your state, but they may have these people that if you file a claim against them, they can pop up in your area. But it's very difficult to find them. I mean, you just need a lawyer just to understand how to file out the paperwork or who to file it against. It's just the FCC, the FTC, all of these organizations are saying, we don't help individuals. Yeah, if you get together and find a whole bunch of other people that have a problem with it, then maybe we can file a class action lawsuit. Who the fuck wants to file that? When somebody may owe you over $1,000 and the award for a class action lawsuit has to be divided amongst all those people. You may come out with $10, if that. I'm telling you, I'm horrified. And not to a place of dysfunction. I'm just horrified at what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this country go back into Jim Crow with a certain level of acceptance of wanting to go back there. You know, how many white people wouldn't mind going back to the 1950s? Stand up if you aren't cowards and liars. Raise your hand, stand up, do something. Don't lie, don't smile in my face, because I'm going to see how you treat me. That's my determining factor for whether you're a friend or foe. And that includes just trying to ignore things altogether. Then, guess what I suspect of you? Yeah, I was gonna join this trans veteran organization that was gonna be handled by BIPOC people. And when it all came down in the wash, it's being run and led by white people. And I was so disappointed because it showed promise, but for whatever reason, there weren't enough BIPOC veterans, trans veterans, that stepped forward to want to serve on the board and all sorts of other things, including myself. I didn't want to do it because I'd been watching them. I've been watching them from one organization to a next, and they talk a good talk, but they too don't want to hear our issues. Because I'll bring them up. I'll bring them up to the president. I'll bring them up to anybody that I feel like bringing it up to, just to see how they'll react or respond. Do they respond or do they react? No, they react or they don't say anything at all. That is telling too. I'm not stupid. I've been around this planet a long time, and I've been in observation mode most of the time, most of my life, all of my childhood. I observed everything and everybody. I didn't talk much. Imagine that. But I didn't. And even when I talk really fast and I may talk a lot, I'm also listening. And I'm watching and I'm observing. And I'm saying, oh, Nelly, this country is in trouble if the GOP take over in 2024, next year. And everybody's been laying low, and I don't know what they've been doing. But if they get in control of the House and the Senate, it's all over. And the presidency, it's all over. You're going to see a country that I assure you, you're going to hate if you don't get up and open your fucking mouth now. about all the issues, including issues that aren't yours. That don't affect you directly. Because if you don't deserve anybody to back you. You're not backing anybody but yourself. Think about that. And the pollinator is out.